Hi guys, I've got another page in my 31 minutes for 31 days mini pocket notebook today, and I'm using this new set from Kellie Stamps, the Dream Big stamp set. Now you've seen me do repeat stamping about a million times, so I skipped that for you, and I've just stamped the Be Kind to Yourself stamp about a million times on just a piece of scrap paper using the Hero Arts shadowing, and you have to say it was quite a sort of therapeutic thing stamping that a million times. The photo that I've got today was just feeling a bit sort of flat, and I took this photo while I was sitting at my computer just doing a little bit of work, and it was reasonably early in the morning, so the light is really cool. The photo turned out really cool toned, and I decided that instead of editing that out, I would just print it straight out of camera because it kind of suited how I was feeling. That sort of coolness of it helps to add to the kind of just general feeling of meh. Now the photo might be a bit sort of on the sad looking side, but this stamp set is all about self-care and positivity and having plans and dreams for yourself, so I thought that was a super nice contrast. As is the Joyful Day collection, which is what I'm using today. I went through the 6x6 pad and picked out some of those cool toned coloured papers, and I'm just doing the same thing with the die cut ephemera pack. I'm just going through there and picking out just a few little die cut pieces that are all sort of cool toned. Of course, obviously none of these have like a sad sort of theme to them. It's all again about positivity, so it's just that the message that this page has is kind of in contrast to how it looks. It looks like quite a sad page, but it actually isn't, and I kind of like that contrast happened. So there are a few stickers and bits and pieces from that Joyful Day collection that I'm going to use, but I'm just going to start working on the base layers for my page. So the repeat stamping that I've already done, I had trimmed that out so it was the right size, and I've just stuck that onto the right hand side of the page, and I am going to do a full spread today. I'm not just going to do the single page. My notebook has more than 31 pages in it, so I can afford to do a few spreads here and there, and today is one. I'm even going to do a little shaker pocket in here. So on the left hand side I'm sticking my photo, and I just mounted that really simply with one of the blue papers that I had pulled out of that pad, and I want to use this banner sticker. It says Be Kind, so I really love that it echoes the same sentiment that's on the right hand spread. I just kind of want to make another little banner behind it, and the one that was in the die cut pack is almost the same color as the sticker, so you wouldn't see it if I sat that behind there, so I'm just using it as a guide to just trim my own. It's the exact same size now, but I've just trimmed it out of a darker teal paper, so that when I layer these two up in the corner here, you can see both the sticker and the paper banner behind it. So my left hand side of my page is going to be reasonably simple. This book is getting very fat though, so I do need to clip this shut, and I'm just going to work on a little cluster on the bottom right hand corner of the right hand page here, using some of those die cut pieces that I had pulled out, and also I was going to die cut a tag out of one of the papers that I've pulled out, but the tag die that I've pulled out is a little bit too large, and I liked the size of this paper and that it would echo the same that's the same pattern that I used on the left to mount my photo. So I didn't bother die cutting it because I just used my scissors to trim off the corner, so it is actually the same shape as the die, but I didn't have to die cut it, so that was very handy. I did use the hole on the die as sort of a guideline for where to punch a hole in this fake tag, and so that all worked out easily enough, and now I'm just going to build my cluster on top of that. The reason I put the tag there in the first place was it's the pattern that I've created with the stamping is a little bit too light for any of these die cut pieces to stand out on top of it, so I needed something a little bit darker, and having that darker base will also balance out the photo on the left hand side there, because it is quite a dark element on top of a white page, so this just serves to balance out that photo there. Now I did pull out this chipboard frame, but as I said, this notebook's already pretty bulky, so I did peel off a lot of the chipboard layers on the back of that, and I'll just end up gluing that on instead. I still love chipboard pieces like that, and it's usually easy enough to do to peel off the layers like that. It does leave a little, it's sort of a bit rough and fibrous on the back, so you do need to use some sort of wet media, tape runner, and even double-sided tape doesn't tend to stick that well to it. It just sort of peels off because it's a little bit loose, so you do need some wet media for that, and I'm going to end up sticking that down with some multi-matte medium. Now I was just faffing about a little bit in terms of how to create this cluster down here, what I'm going to use for it. I had pulled out all those die cut pieces, and in the end I'm not going to use all of them. I'm just going to use I think only one more. So I've got kind of a notebooky looking paper behind and a wee tab that says today, and I do want to use that little flower spray, I guess it is, and it's got this gold accent which will tie in the gold on the left hand page at the top of that Be Kind sticker. So I do want to add the little flowers, but I'm going to make my own little die cut sort of embellishment here using another one of the stamps from the set that says, I think it says start somewhere. And I'm just going to stamp that in this, it's a Color Theory by Studio Calico, it's a pigment ink, I think it's Deja Blue. And I am going to go and wash that stamp immediately because this is the worst ink ever for staining stamps. You can see I washed it straight away and it had already stained the stamp. So it's just one of those things you have to learn to live with, but that is definitely an ink that if I use it, I clean up whatever I'm using straight away. I did stamp that twice just to give myself a little bit of wiggle room for making a mistake, and I did off camera go and hit that with my heat gun because that pigment ink does take a really long time to dry and I wanted to carry on. And then I'm going to cluster that with the little flower on top of the die cut frame that I have here. So to lift those up just a little bit, I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive, which I struggled with, to be honest. I'm really busy like sticking the foam onto the back of the little pieces, and then I sort of forget about gluing the foam. I'm wondering, why are these not sticking? Why is it not sticking? It's not sticking because you didn't add adhesive to it, Diane. Which always helps when you're trying to stick something down onto the page. So lift those back up, and I'm just going to sort of cluster them together. Didn't quite get this back down in the right place again. And the foam just helps lift it over that chipboard frame, otherwise they would have sort of bent over the top of it, because I have peeled the chipboard off, but there is still some height to it. It's maybe half as tall as it was. Just looking for somewhere to do my date stamping, and I end up just popping that onto the bottom of my photo there. And then I'm going to grab some of the papers that I've got left. I've got a couple of little pieces of the blue. I realized I hidden a tag under there, but it's too late. I can't make that fit. And I'm going to create some confetti for my shaker pocket. So I've got a couple of background dies there. One cuts triangles, one cuts diamonds. That's what I did. I used just a few bits of those papers, the cool tone papers that I had pulled out, and created my own confetti to pop into the pocket. I would have used sequins, but to be honest, I don't have any blue ones, so confetti it was. And now my idea was that I was going to stitch this closed, but I went to my sewing machine and there was no way I was going to get this book under a sewing machine to stitch it closed. So I pulled out my fuse tool, heated that up, and fused that pocket shut. And that's this spread all done. This is a fabulous stamp set, so make sure you head over to the Kellie Stamps shop and grab that one for yourself. It's super positive and I just love it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you've got any questions or comments for me, leave them down below. If you want to keep watching, there's a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye guys.